You may think your hotel is already green, but are you green enough for today's eco-conscious traveler? Welcome to the Sustainable Hospitality Podcast, your destination to learn from hospitality professionals on the value and opportunities sustainability will bring to your organization. It will put more heads in beds and lower costs at the same time. We're your hosts and sustainable hospitality experts, Kathy McGuire and Amy Walls.
I'm your host, Kathy McGuire. In this episode, we speak with Blake Englehard, Director of Growth at Goodr, whose mission is to end waste, fight hunger, and feed communities. He'll discuss how it's not a matter of food shortages, but rather a logistics problem. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Blake Englehard, who is the Director of Growth at Goodr. That's spelled Goodr. And this is a program in Atlanta, Georgia, where they get food that is being recovered because they've made too much and takes it to people that need the food. So this is going to be a wonderful topic to talk about. Welcome, Blake. Thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Kathy.
Absolutely. So let's get started. How did you get started? How did Goodr get started doing this work?
So our founder, Jasmine Crow, has an incredible story. She has a TED Talk, which you can see online, all about why we are doing the wrong things to fight hunger and what the right things are. And so the company was founded in 2017 on the back of some of the food insecurity work that Jasmine was doing. So Jasmine was putting together events for different celebrities to help people. And those events typically happen during, the holidays. And so in between, she had a lot of free time. So she just on the streets of Atlanta, started feeding people, out of her apartment, cooking pastas and whatever she could, make up. And she started to see there were 2-hour lines to her apartment. And she was thinking, well, I never wait 2 hours to go to a restaurant. I'd be furious, right? So, let me, make this a better experience. And so she turned it into what she called Sunday Soul, where they would basically make a restaurant with, the white tablecloths and all the nice things, and people would be able to make reservations and come to it. It was really incredible. One of the Sunday Soul events ends up going viral over social media, and people start commenting, where do you get the food donated from? And so Jasmine responds to, she's thinking to herself, maybe people donated $5 or $10, but I'm price matching, I'm couponing, I'm at the grocery store trying to find this, food for people. And so she started doing, a quick Google search, what happens to food, at the end of the night, where does food get donated? And started to see just some crazy information. She knew from her work before about how bad food insecurity is, right? I mean, last year it was 42 million Americans are food insecure. This year, that number has risen all the way to 54 million Americans that are food insecure. That's 1/7, every 1 in 7 people in the U.S. And if you look at certain, higher density population areas, it rises a lot more in a lot of areas. So it's a scary number. And what she was finding online was that 72 billion pounds of food are going to landfill every year. And so those two next to each other, kind of struck a chord. And she stayed up all night. And it was around the time when these apps like Postmates or DoorDash started, everybody was sending their friend the $5, $10 referral fee coupon, for if you download the app. And so she thought, well, what if I could just reverse engineer one of those apps so that instead of bringing the food to the customer who ordered it, the restaurant could be the one that orders it and will bring it to someone in need. And that's really, the basis of what our company has been built on, is this idea that food insecurity is not really an issue of scarcity. It's a matter of logistics.
Excellent. It just sounds amazing. When I first heard about it, that's why I definitely wanted to speak to you about this. So how do you engage participation from the people who have the leftover food?
Absolutely. So we work with airports, hotels, restaurants, caterers, you name it, office spaces, production sets, basically everybody who's in a business with enough people has to figure out how to get them food. And because of that, they end up having excess. So, the way that we, get in touch with a lot of these is a lot of it has happened through the PR that Jasmine's had through her TED Talk and things like that. People have reached out to us. And, we've gotten some really great clients that way. We also have, a team that's really on the front lines going after, anywhere from small mom and pop restaurants all the way to the, big hotel chains of the world, just trying to get in touch with them, trying to find introductions to them to, help them with that piece of their business. At the end of the day, what we're able to do for a business is we're able to give them, we have a technology that tracks all the data, right? And that you request a pickup through our app, and then our app will track your sustainability information, like how many pounds are diverted from landfill, how many carbon emissions have been diverted because of donating the food instead of throwing it away, which is really cool, as well as what people like to use for PR, how many people you fed. And then last but not least, and this is huge for a lot of for-profit businesses we work with, is we can provide the tax deductions. And so when people think, what am I going to do with a tin of chicken or mac and cheese, right? It's a couple $100. It's not, in retail value, it probably costs the restaurant $40, something like that, relative to, how much food they're producing. They might think, what's that going to do for my business? And, over the course of the year, well, that's, $30,000, $80,000, $90,000 in tax deductions. And so those are really the things that motivate people to buy. And, we've been blessed to get to work with a lot of big companies. The Atlanta airport, the busiest airport in the country, is one of our clients. We've worked with the number 1 and number 3 convention center in the country, McCormick Place and Georgia World Congress Center. We've worked with, the Lakers, the Hawks, big stadiums. We've worked with, Papa John's, Netflix, Google. We've had a lot of really amazing opportunities. And, we're hoping to, continue to meet the right people to do that.
That's great. Now, how does the app work? How do you, so someone's got leftover food, do they go onto the app and say, I've got, all these trays of pasta? And then how do you have your own trucks, refrigerated trucks that go get the food? Or how do you pick it up, and then how do you get it to where it needs to go?
Absolutely. So the way that the app works is somebody will sign up for the app. Typically, people are on something like a monthly subscription to be able to, get the amount of pickups that they're looking for. And when they are on the app, they are able to request up similar to how you would request an Uber, except their menu is loaded in. So then they can see, here are the menu items. Everything's already filled in for them. So all they have to do is just say, oh, today it's 20 bagels, right? They just enter that quantity, click confirm, and one of our drivers will come pick up the food. We have a network in Atlanta of about 50 drivers, but nationwide we have third-party logistics partners, so we can pick up anything in any 50 states, from something that's going to fit in the front seat of a car all the way to something you might need an 18-wheeler to make the connection.
And so your drivers, then, how do you know who needs the food, whether it's a soup kitchen or pantry? How do you know where to take it? Who needs it?
That's a great question. So we have a nonprofit team that is nonstop trying to sign up nonprofits. Their goal, and we'll see if they get there, but their goal for this year is to get to 100,000 nonprofits on the network. Our hope is that, in any market in the country, people could book at any time of the day. Some smaller cities, we might need to say, restaurant or airport or whoever it is, please hold on to the food just until the morning and place it when, the few nonprofits nearby can pick up. But typically for airports in particular, right, they're in a busy enough area. For major cities, they're in a busy enough area where there's shelters nearby that need food. There's food pantries that need food. There's unfortunately right now a lot of people that are going hungry. And so there's a lot of opportunity to help.
So who pays for the services that you offer? Do like hotels pay like a fee to participate in your program?
Absolutely. Yeah. It works just like that. So the hotel or restaurant, whoever the donor is, will pay for the pickup, and they'll end up getting typically 5 to 10 times the cost of the service back in tax deductions. So that's a huge benefit. The other big benefit on the sustainability side is that 27% of landfill is food, which means that when you look at your trash at the end of the night, the heaviest thing in your trash, as well as one of the largest volume items in your trash, is going to be food. So the more that we can go ahead and get that out of there, the lower your costs are going to be. We also opened up next recycling program in tandem with our food rescue program, so that we can handle any excess food that people have, to make sure it doesn't go to landfill and either goes to people or goes to feed animal, turn it into fuel or compost.
Oh, that's terrific. Now, for those people who might be a little fearful about being sued, the liability with donating, especially perishable food, like trays of pasta or whatever, what is your response to that?
That is the number one question that I get, and I am lucky that the U.S. government allowed it to be the easiest question to answer. In 2011, the U.S. government created the Good Samaritan Act, which protects any commercial kitchens from donating food to nonprofits. So they are completely protected under that. We add a few of our own little flavors in there to make sure that we give them extra protection, especially when you're working with, big chains or airports. They are big on any protections legally that you can have. So, we have a very, very large insurance policy with a clause of subrogation. So that keeps the client completely out of it. And if anything happens, we also have all of our nonprofits sign hold harmless agreements. So they're not going to sue us, and they're not going to sue our client. They're responsible for the food, as well as we actually provide supplies for any hot food for most of our clients. And so, they'll, instead of putting it in one of their own containers with their name on it, they'll put it on a container with a Goodr name on it, so they know that there's nothing coming back to them in that case scenario. And we also, of course, have food safety guidelines that we provide all of the people we're working with. And those are really just based on the guidelines put out by the USDA.
Right. One thing I'm not sure if you're aware of, because I did a little research on my own about the liability for donating food. The University of Arkansas did a study, and not one case of anyone suing at all since it began back in 2011. So that's pretty significant right there. I was wondering, now you said you're kind of nationwide. How would a community or say hotel chains or whatever, how would they perhaps get involved with Goodr?
Absolutely. So the best way would be to go to Goodr, Goodr.co, that's .co. Click on the request a meeting button or request a demo, and book a meeting with us. We're happy to just walk you through and do an assessment of, what might look like, right? If, you're a small restaurant that only at the end of the night, we can go ahead and look at, how much food waste you might have to figure out if it's a good fit for you. Because we really only want to work with people where it will be a good fit for them for the long run. And that's probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, this has been very insightful. I really appreciate you taking the time, Blake, to speak with us about what you're doing, and keep up the good work, and take care. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Kathy. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today on the Sustainable Hospitality Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like a free consultation on becoming a much greener hotel, please visit us at sustainablehospitalitypodcast.com.